Voces Fortis presents a full cast recording of The Angel at the Grave by Edith Wharton, narrated by Hilary Straga. Pauline Anson, played by Stephanie Breinholt. George Corby, played by Trent Dahlin. And the publisher, played by Ben Cummins. Part 1. The house stood a few yards back from the elm-shaded village street in that semi-publicity sometimes cited as a democratic protest against old-world standards of domestic exclusiveness. This candid exposure to the public eye is more probably a result of the gregariousness which, in the New England bosom, oddly coexists with a shrinking from direct social contact, most of the inmates of such houses preferring that furtive intercourse which is the result of observations through shuttered windows, and a categorical acquaintance with the neighboring clotheslines. The house, however, faced its public with a difference. For 60 years it had written itself with a capital letter, had self-consciously squared itself in the eye of an admiring nation. The most searching inroads of village intimacy hardly counted in a household that opened on the universe, and a lady whose doorbell was at any moment liable to be rung by visitors from London or Vienna was not likely to flutter upstairs when she observed a neighbor stepping over. The solitary inmate of the Anson house owed this induration of the social texture to the most conspicuous accident in her annals, the fact that she was the only granddaughter of the great Orestes Anson. She had been born, as it were, into a museum, and cradled in a glass case with a label, the first foundations of her consciousness being built on the rock of her grandfather's celebrity. To a little girl who acquires her earliest knowledge of literature through a reader embellished with fragments of her ancestors' prose, that personage necessarily fills an heroic space in the foreground of life. To communicate with one's past through the impressive medium of print, to have, as it were, a footing in every library in the country, and an acknowledged kinship with that world-diffused clan, the descendants of the great, was to be pledged to a standard of manners that amazingly simplified the lesser relations of life. The village street on which Pauline Anson's youth looked out led to all the capitals of Europe, and over the roads of intercommunication unseen.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?